Hello, and welcome to episode 323 of the Casual Try Hard Podcast.
And
I'm
I'm
Brian,
James.
and we are going on our Final Fantasy
That's right.
that has happened 16 or 17 times. But our Final
It's the
Fantasy,
final one this time.
yeah. We're going to talk mechanics. They've been spoiling cards. They did like a huge spoiler on Saturday. So we're going to talk some mechanics and things of that sort.
Yeah. A lot of these are pretty straightforward, so I'm not sure that it's going to take very long. This might be kind of a short episode, so be ready for that. But yeah, we'll go over all the mechanics and I guess get us ready for the rest of the set to come out.
Yeah, so if you have any ideas, any cards you want us to talk about, please get at us on Facebook, Discord, Twitter, X, email, Blue Sky, any of those places. Say hey, program the show. Let us know what you think we should be talking about when it comes time to single card spoilery stuff or single card review.
Absolutely. Or if you got an idea for an episode, let us know about that as well. If you're looking to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there using that link. Do whatever shopping you're going to do. Support us at the same time. Doesn't cost you anything extra to do that. TCG player pays us and doesn't get tacked onto your bill. So free to you guys, helps us out. We would appreciate it. If you want to support us more directly, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is where you can do that. Go over there, you can chip a couple bucks in, you get access to my show notes, so you get kind of a sneak peek of what the episode's going to be about for the week. You also get access to our unshow. Every week we hop on about an hour early and hang out for a little bit, catch up, make sure all our equipment works, things of that nature. We figure while we're doing it, we might as well record it and give it to our patrons. We never know what we're going to talk about. It's always off the cuff, whatever, all over the place topic wise. And we just, like I said, we record it and dump it right to the patrons, unscripted, unedited, everything. That's why it's the unshow.
Yeah.
If any of that sounds good to you, or if you just want to support the show, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Like I said, chip a couple bucks in, help us out directly.
Yeah. So we have the Final Fantasy set. It is covering somehow every Final Fantasy game ever.
Okay.
It is all over the place.
This is, I mean, maybe not as expensive as Lord of the Rings, but this has to be an expensive IP to get into, right?
I would assume so.
So they probably only had one shot at it.
So they're like, and because I think these sets are mainly just nostalgia bait, right? Like, I think they wanted to like hit all of them so that you could get every nerd would have some reason to open packs, right? Like if you're like me and like, you know, you see like Cloud and like Terra and you're like, oh my gosh, Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 6. And then like some of the newer ones are like, oh yeah, like I kind of remember that, right? Like, okay, hey, like old guy like that, cool. But then like also gotta get the like the MMO people and like the newer people that maybe haven't played Final Fantasy other than the MMO, so they just have covered like everything, which, you know, fine, but like for a set, it feels very disjointed. And I think that's just because I know cards from, or I know arts and characters from certain games, and then there are other games I don't know. So like it's like, oh hey, neat, I know these characters, and then just random things that I'm like, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, and I think like that issue that you're describing is way worse for me. If you any of the patrons listen to the pre-show, you kind of caught a little bit of my opinion of this set. But as somebody that like I enjoyed the few Final Fantasy games that I played, but it wasn't like my sole gaming like upbringing or anything. Um I'm not familiar with any of this stuff, and it all seems so like weird and one off that like it just doesn't even make sense as a Magic set to me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Is that like it doesn't feel like a
Yeah.
set. It feels like a collection of like one-offs or
Yeah.
like, hey, here are like 20, like it's almost like there are 16 different
Yeah.
sets, right? Where you have this like little mini set of like 12 cards from Final Fantasy 1 and like 12 cards of Final Fantasy 2. You know what I mean? They just like little like odds and
Yeah.
ends where it doesn't feel
Yeah.
cohesive. Like maybe with the mechanics and stuff, it'll be like, oh, this is cohesive and makes
Hmm.
sense. But like from like an art style point of view and naming convention, like whatever, like you could have built a world in Magic that had like these names, so like
Yeah.
whatever. But just from like in Magic, from an art style, like the cards don't seem to fit well stylistically because they've tried to, and like I guess on one hand I kind of appreciate it. They've tried to like have some of the art look to some degree like the games they're
Hmm.
from, and so then like it doesn't make sense in the
Yeah.
world because you're like, you know, yeah, it doesn't feel cohesive from a storytelling point of view, which is kind of Final Fantasy shtick.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like right on. So if there's any youngins who haven't partaken in the Final Fantasies for some reason, the games were called Final Fantasy. I think it's like a weird translation thing. I don't think that they were called Final Fantasy in the original
Oh, okay.
Japanese.
I didn't know that.
Um, uh, but um, but they Final Fantasy 1 has no relationship to Final Fantasy 2 in terms of
Yeah.
storytelling. So all of them are one-off games, but are built with very similar rules and structures within the
Yeah.
worlds. So all the magic spells it's like fire, fire, right? So across all of the games, the three levels of fire
Are the same.
spells and the are the same. And then you have companions, beasts, magical creatures you can summon, uh, and they all have the same names across all of the games.
Oh, okay.
So like Ifrit is the fire guy, and you summoned Ifrit in Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10. Like Bahamut is the Final Fantasy answer to
Yeah.
Ugin, like the colorless like big
Hmm.
dragon. So the non-elemental big dragon, and Bahamut's been across multiple
Yeah.
games. So there's a lot of things that are like similar, but they are not uh
Not of the same story.
so no, yeah, they're not of the same story. So apparently in Japanese Final Fantasy, according to the AI overview, is uh yeah, it says apparently abbreviated FF in Final Fantasy in Japan.
Hmm.
Okay. Womp womp, so I was wrong. But they are games that do not carry the
Yeah.
narrative. Um, fun fact: there was only one Final Fantasy game that had a direct sequel.
Oh, yeah?
And that was Final Fantasy X. They made Final Fantasy X-2.
Gotcha.
Which bombed. It was not nearly as good as Final Fantasy. I couldn't even finish it. It's the only Final Fantasy I started to play and was like, I'm good, thanks. I was also in grad school.
Maybe that had something to do with it.
There was a higher bar, but is it Final Fantasy The Spirits Within? The Final Fantasy movie? They released a full-length movie. Yep, The Spirits Within, which I watched during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not terrible. But it was so bad it almost bankrupted Square.
Wow.
Or I think it was Square. Because it's now Square Enix. Yeah. And so they had to spin up another game to try to recoup the money.
Gotcha.
And they had this engine for Final Fantasy X sitting there. And they were like, well, we'll just crank out another game so we don't go bankrupt. So that's why there's a Final Fantasy X-2, which
was not great.
Not their best work. Not their best work. But so from a Magic point of view, it doesn't feel like a cohesive set. And it, again, like maybe it's because I'm like, oh, Cloud's in this game and Terra's in this game and Sin's in this game. But also even for you who's not like, you know, deep into at least one or two Final Fantasies, you're like, none of this looks the same. None of this sounds the same.
It's just all.
Yeah. If you care about what Final Fantasy, a particular card is from, by the collector number, they have what game it's from.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
In small text. So, like, I'll look at something and go, like, I don't know that. Oh no, are my nerd credentials at risk? And then I'll look and I'll be like, oh, that's from like Final Fantasy 14. I didn't play that. Okay, I'm safe.
I don't know. It feels like oh shoot, I don't remember the name of the series now. Oh, there was like a Netflix series based on League.
Based on
League
what?
of Legends.
Oh, Arcane.
Yeah, like I never played League. I have never. And like the series was fine, I watched it, but then like when they did the secret lair, I was like, this isn't, and this feels like that secret lair. Like this is just not my thing.
Yeah, which is
like
fine.
The art's cool, but it doesn't mean anything to me. The art style doesn't particularly mean anything to me. None of the like renamed cards really mean anything to me.
Yeah, see, that's where they're getting me is like the Final Fantasy like 6 and 7 stuff. Like hold a special place. Like I multiple times played Final Fantasy 6 to 99 hours and 59 minutes on the save file timer. Multiple times. I mean, and even like Final Fantasy Remake, Final Fantasy 7 Remake for the PS5. I played it and got the platinum trophy on it. And I just put I'm at 130 hours into Final Fantasy Rebirth. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, the second one. So like deep in my Final Fantasy like 7 bag right now. So like the arts of like the Final Fantasy 7 characters in the Final Fantasy like 6 characters of Final Fantasy 3 are like, I'm like, yeah, that's the good stuff. So like those I'm just kind of like, I really do like that art, but I'm just like, it's, I don't know if I'm like trying to resist the like buy some cards draw, but I'm like, the art, like I like these arts. So,
well, I mean, there's so many different arts just by singles.
There are. No, exactly. Like I'm not. I don't see myself like. Might I do a pre-release? Maybe.
No, you'll do a pre-release.
But like, but like I don't like foresee myself buying like packs. Now, if I crack me a chocobo that's in a fancy color, maybe I can justify buying myself some packs. So yeah, so it is like I said, it is very much a nostalgia play, but I don't know. I'm of that age now.
Yep, you're allowed.
Yeah, I have wife money that I can spend.
There you go.
So yeah. Anyway, so on our little critique of nostalgia bait and
or not,
what have you,
or the opposite. What's the opposite of nostalgia bait?
New IPs. Don't come at Wizards with that. Like, I say that. Well, no, gosh, I was gonna say, but like Cons is really good, and it's like wait, no, Cons is kind of a sequel.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time they released like a new IP set that we're like, yeah, like there hasn't been one in a while.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, because like
Kaladesh?
like Outlaws of Thunder, maybe Kaladesh. Yeah, like OG Kaladesh might be it.
Wow.
Because like there's been like a lot of sequel sets and like Return to Ravnica kind of thing. And and then like where let's say, like Theros is like Greek inspired, but it wasn't super heavy handed. Right? Then you had like Keldheim, when it was just like, and again, it might have just been because I had played God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
She's like, this just feels like very much like over the top. Like, look, there's a tree.
Look at the tree.
Okay, look at the tree. And it's like, all right, cool. I got you. All right. So what are so just as kind of the art's a little disjointed, there are like mechanics that run through the set, but there are some things that there are some kind of like one-off or like unique things that happen here and there.
It kind of reminds me of AFR, where there's like a lot of little things that either previously had a keyword or maybe don't even need a keyword that they put like a flavor keyword on. And like that's kind of what this set feels like to me.
Yeah, like, so there's.
I was just gonna.
The one that I think.
I was just gonna say. I know, like during the pre-show, we mentioned there's a new affinity for artifacts, and that's kind of a one-off. But then there's also an affinity for birds, so maybe it's not a one-off.
There's like Kane, Traitorous Dragoon, and he has jump. So like italics, and it's just like during your turn, Kane has flying. Could have just said that, but it's jump because dragoons jump.
Sure.
And like Jumbo Cactar, the card everyone was hyped for, has 10,000 needles, which is it just gets big, and then gets blocked by a 1/1.
Jumped forever.
Haha, trample. Haha, trample. So yeah, it is kind of. So there are mechanics, but then there are kind of things that feel like one-off or just like aren't really mechanics, but they like keyworded because just like in AFR, it's like, oh, this is the word that kind of signifies this in D&D, so we're gonna use that word, so people go like, oh, they used the word.
Right. Nostalgia bait.
And so, exactly. Did you play Dungeons and Dragons in your parents' basement? Here, you can relive your youth when your hips did not hurt and your back was okay.
Oh, the days.
Oh, the days when things worked. All right. So we have not too many mechanics.
Yeah, and like these, I think for the most part, there's only one that's a little weird. we've already had all these mechanics called other things.
Yes.
So,
which is a confusing thing that they have done recently. Where it's like it used to be like you would learn what flying was. And then you're like, okay, like whenever I see flying, I know what this means. But like, could you imagine if they were like, instead of flying, this time we're gonna call
Shadow?
it shadow or big up high or horsemanship, right? And you're like, well, that's dumb. Like we already had flying. Why did it need another name? Right? And so it's kind of the same thing here, where it's like we already had this mechanic. Why did we have to give it a different name? So the first one is job select, which upon reading what job select was, I have no idea why it is job select. Why that's the name of it.
I assumed there was some sort of flavor reason.
I'm assuming so as well. So it is when an equipment with job select enters, you create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token, then attach the equipment to the newly created token. So when I read job select, I was expecting to be like, oh, you get a 1/1 hero or like a 0/2 wizard. Like I thought you were gonna pick tokens with different jobs.
The equipment gives it a different job.
Oh, the equipment gives it a job.
Yeah. So we have Dragoon's Lance here as the example. It's 1 and a white for an equipment. It has job select, so when it enters, you're going to make a 1/1 hero and then attach this to it. And equipped creature gets +1/+0 and is a knight in addition to its other types. During your turn, equipped creature has flying, and whatever Gabe Ballug is the equip ability. They named the equip ability Equip 4.
I was not okay. That's from the MMO, so like I'm not supposed to know that.
But there's one that like it has job select and then makes it a wizard.
Gotcha. So it is a weapon apparently.
Gabe Ballug is
apparently first. Yeah. That it's a recurring spear that first made an appearance in Final Fantasy X, but it was in Tactics. So, Crystal Chronicles. That was a good game. So apparently it has shown up in different games.
Was not aware.
But yeah, not aware either. Okay, so I hadn't realized initially that it is that the equipment gives it a job. So you get a hero that then, because it has a thing, it must have a certain job. Okay. So like you said, this is like Living Weapon or Formirrodin or that cycle of like from the core set of like the enters, makes a 1/1, equip the thing, and then it gets like some sort of like dinky ability.
Like, what was it? Immolation Mask or something?
Yeah, Immolation Mask, and I think there was like a white one. I don't know. Like this is like the base level of this card is a 2-mana 2/1 flyer. Well, flyer on your turn, which is when you want a 2/1 flyer for 2. Seems like a fine card. Like this is a fine mechanic. We've seen it like
a few times now
work before.
It's pretty good for limited because it's a sneaky way of having like a pump spell and a creature.
Yeah, like the problem with there are a number of cards that are telling you that, hey, there's going to be an Equipment That Matters deck in limited. Right? Like the downfall of those decks were always, I can't play 6 equipments and 12 creatures. So these all give you the like, hey, you have a creature now. And an equipment. So we fixed your problem. But yeah, like this is weird. It is just a mechanic we've seen before, but they just called it something different.
Well, are you ready for another mechanic that we've seen before pretty recently?
Sure.
We have tiered. Some spells in this set offer different effects, increasing in effectiveness with how much mana you pay for them. Each card with tiered is a modal spell with 3 modes. Each mode includes an additional cost. To cast a spell with tiered, choose one of its modes and the associated cost.
All right. So this goes back to what I had said before about, so for ice magic, which we have here, 1 in the blue for an instant, it's tiered. Blizzard, which is the base level ice spell, return target creature to its owner's hand. Blizzara, pay 2. Target creature's owner puts it on their choice of top or bottom of their library. Blizzaraga, for 5 in a blue, target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. So as in addition to
the 1 in a blue.
The 1 in the blue. So it's either bounce spell, top or bottom spell for 4, or for 8 mana, just send it to the deck realm.
Yep. But this is kind of just like Spree, right?
Yes. I think the big difference is that Spree didn't have a 0.
Oh, all of these have a 0?
Right. I think all of them, there's 2 that I know were spoiled. Okay. The red one, which is fire magic, it has a 0. Okay. It goes 0 to 5, like of colorless. Yeah. And this goes 0 to, so I think they may all have a 0. Okay.
Well, I mean, is that functionally
that could be
is
the
that
difference?
Functionally different than having the first one cost 1 and this be a 1 mana spell instead?
No. Okay. It is the same thing.
So it's just Spree.
But like it is just Spree. But like I'm sure like somewhere someone was like, well, if we just have the first thing be 0, then it'll just be the casting cost and nothing else. But yeah, it is literally just Spree with like a twist that is not a difference.
And Spree's just Kicker, so
change anything. Yeah, so this is just Kicker.
It's just Kicker.
This is just Kicker written a different way.
With funny names.
Like I couldn't figure out what tiered meant until like in like the game, until I was like, oh, it's. And what's bad is like I had looked at fire magic and talked about it on the pre-show, and just glossed over the tiered thing. Like I just looked at it and was like, okay, I know what this card kind of does, but I did not go like, oh, like tiered, like that. Like it does not feel like an evocative keyword. So
I think the only rules thing to note about this, it would be the same rules thing to note about any mechanic like this, but the whatever ability you choose doesn't change the mana value of the card. So if you cast Blizzard for 2, it still has a 2 mana value even if you pay the extra 2 for Blizzara.
Okay. Reasonable.
Yep. And the next one we have is also kind of a twist on a mechanic. There are saga creatures. So there's a bunch of these. They're all a saga that's also a creature. So it's not really a new mechanic. It's just kind of combining enchantment creatures and sagas. They follow the same rules as a regular saga would. When it enters, you put a counter on it and do the first chapter. At the beginning of your first main, you'll put a counter on it and do whatever it says. And then after you put your third counter on it, you sacrifice it. So even though it's a creature, you're still going to sacrifice it when the third saga pops. So you really only get to crack in with these once.
Yes. That just like hit me. I was like, oh, you only get it one time. Whoever like came up with the saga idea at Wizards should get a raise, because they have like run sagas into the ground.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
So from a flavor point of view, the summons are those, I talked about like Afraid and like Shiva and stuff. So they are like temporary like aids. In the earlier games, they would come in and do like a spell and then dip. In the more recent games, in like the remakes, they come and they're on the battlefield with you for a while, and they do stuff, and then eventually they go away.
Okay. So I guess that's like
So, like,
thematic
this
that they leave.
Yeah, they come in, do some stuff, and then they leave. Right? Like it was like in like Final Fantasy VI and the original version of Final Fantasy VII. Like it just kind of like came in, you like summoned it, it did its spell, and then left. So this is somewhere in that like same area. But yeah, it shows up for I mean, if the effects are good enough, like these are going to be fine. Like Summon Fenrir that you have here, right? Like it goes and it like it's 3 mana for a 3/2, and it goes and gets a land.
Yep.
Well, we've seen 3 mana 4/4 can't block until you have 8 lands. Go get a land, be like a playable card. And this gets to block the turn you play it. Like you could easily go like play it, get your land, block. Right? Amazing. Right? And then it has like the next creature you spell gets a +1/+1 counter on it. Neat. Right?
Extra
like
bonus.
if it's still around, extra bonus. And then you get to draw a card if it's like if you have a creature with the highest power. Like then it replaces itself at the end. Like that's
Well, I mean, it replaces itself to start with a basic.
Yeah, it is. True. But like you're like the exchange on this one is fine. Right? Like we're all playing Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Hauntwoods. Right? And admittedly better than this.
Oh, definitely.
But this isn't too far off. Right? Like you'd almost rather have this over Overlord of the Hauntwoods if you were playing against like mono red.
Yeah.
Right? Like you play it on turn 3 and it gets to block. As opposed to you ramp on turn 3 and you just
get run over.
Take 8 to the face. So like it has like different use cases, and it feels like they pushed a lot of these. That like the ones I've seen seem pretty good. I mean, heck, there's one of them that says whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That is its second. Lore counter.
Well, I mean, that's the only time it could connect.
Exactly, but like they've tried to push them, I think, to make them be a thing that people want to play. Since they are like one of the few through lines through all the games.
Makes sense.
So yeah, but like I think on like as a mechanic this is fine, but they are allowed to, I think, push what the creatures can do
because they're temporary.
Since they are temporary. Right? Like you can kind of do some crazy stuff if you're like, well, because like a 3/2 that gets a land and then doesn't go away, they'd never print. Right? So like, hey, we get to print this because like it's not going to be there forever.
It's also I forget what I was going to say. There was something else that was interesting about. Oh, I can't. But
then did you see Summon Bahamut?
No, what's that one?
It is a 9 colorless mana, so 9 generic mana for a 9/9. First and second lore counter, destroy target non-land permanent. Get them.
Wow.
And then it's draw 2 cards.
Wow.
And then this creature deals damage equal to the total mana amount of other permanents you control to each opponent.
Holy moly.
also get them. Right? Like as a 7-mana 7/7, like very tronable. Like 9 is like
Not very tronable.
Not very tronable, but like, you know, this is somewhere around, what was that, Cityscape Leveler? Mm-hmm. It's like somewhere in the neighborhood of Cityscape Leveler.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you get to keep this for you get 2 attacks with this. You get to deal 18
and then
damage.
You get to fling it. Well, kind of.
Fling something else. Do you have any other permanents? I do. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Game. They not only can they push it because it doesn't stick. They can push the creature because it doesn't stick around for long. They can also push the like the saga abilities because a creature is easier to interact with than an enchantment is.
Oh, that's a fair point. Like the third level of the saga can be more powerful because you might not get
had
there.
2 turns to interact with it.
So, but it also like kind of feels bad if you like use your removal spell
on something that's going away anyway.
Yeah, something. Oh my! You know, I just realized this is just vanishing with more steps.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than vanishing, but same idea.
Yeah, like kind of the countdown of like, hey, when this runs out of counters, it goes away. It's kind of the same thing. Like Fenrir kind of has vanishing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you don't want to like spend your removal spell on their vanishing creature. Right? Like, oh hey, here's a 2-mana 4/4 with vanishing too. Yeah. It's like, well, I don't want to have to kill that because it's gonna die next turn. But I also don't want to take 4. Sad. Okay. All right. So next up we have
transforming double face cards.
Never seen these before.
They work exactly the same. We've had them a whole bunch of times. I don't think we really need to explain how they work. We can go over the card though.
We can go over like the I think the thing that is different about these is some of them are triggered and some of them are activated. Right? Like normally in a like normal set you would have all of them are triggered or all of them are activated. Right. But these feel like there are I guess like for some of the werewolf stuff they kind of mixed. But these are like mixed. So there's some like Emmett Slitch unsundered. Right? It's 1 blue-black for a 2/4 Elder Wizard with Vigilance, and when it enters or attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 14 or more cards in your graveyard, transform them into whatever the big 6/6 is.
Hades, Sorcerer of Eld.
Oh man, look at you on the ball. This has Vigilance and is a 6/6, like I said. And during your turn, you may play cards from your graveyard. If a card or token will be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So I heard you like Yawgmoth's Will on a 6/6.
No, you gotta do is mill yourself.
Seems doable. He does it for you. So like that one is triggered, like meet the condition and it does the thing. And then there's some other ones that are just like pay 8 mana into me, please and thank you. So keep in mind from a gameplay point of view, that the trigger ones are going to be easier to flip in terms of like there's less risk associated with it. Right, like playing a game of Magic, you may get 14 cards in your graveyard, right? But like there's Kefka, and Kefka has like just 8 generic mana.
Flip it.
Flip me. And this reminds me of oh gosh, which it was a GP. I made a poor deck choice. I was playing the 2 blue red whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card, like that combo deck.
Joyra.
Yeah. Joyra, thank you. And when like Nicobolus Dragon God was a card, and the game beside me, there's a kid who was like, 11 or 12 or something, and this guy's like, I'm going to transform my Nicobolus, and the kid was like, tap the mana. And the guy taps the mana, and he's like, kill it. And I was like, I knew it was happening when he's just like, tap the mana. I want to make this.
That's right.
It's just like, I want to make sure that all your mana is tapped, so when I kill it, we have no confusion about what's going on here. And so Kefka feels like a tap the mana. Is it all tap?
Okay, good.
Okay, just go for the throat. And you're just like, oh, well, that was unfortunate. So like a lot of these like transform cards you have to pay. A lot of them are having you pay a lot.
So just be careful.
Yeah, just be careful. Oh, gosh. And like this one here is like at the beginning of your end step, you may pay 4 blue, blue, black, black, and exile 8 cards from your graveyard. If you do, transform. So you got to like meet a condition,
and pay.
Wait to the end step, and then pay 8 mana that is blue, blue, black, black. Yeah, get blowed all the way out.
But you get an extra turn for your trouble.
Oh, is it an extra turn? Okay, I didn't know what the back was.
Yeah, it's a 7/7 menace. Take an extra turn.
Okay. That's pretty good. But yeah, so just like be careful with those, because like while you might try to time walk your opponent, you could just time walk yourself.
One of us is taking an extra turn. It may be me, it may be you.
Yes. But one of us is. So yeah, just be mindful. I will say, like, if they've like on uncommons, they've thrown 7 and 8 mana activations.
Yeah.
This format kind of almost has to be glacial, doesn't it?
We'll find out.
Okay. So what do we got next after our transform thing?
We have adventures. I believe the only adventures that we have are on lands.
On towns.
Yeah, they're a new land subtype, I guess, town. Adventures work just like adventures do. You can cast the adventure, or you can play the land. If you cast the adventure, it gets exiled, and then you can play the land. So I think these are going to be, like, on average worse, because the only thing you're ever drawing is it comes into play tapped land. Whereas when you cast a Brazen Buccaneer, like, you drew a 3/1.
A Brazen
Borrower, yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is a mechanic that is there to keep you from flooding.
Right.
Like, so the blue one is 6 mana. The white one is 5. And the green one is 6 mana. Right? These are very much like you have a whole bunch of lands and you drew another one, but this one gives you like an out to not be sad that you drew your land. So I think you'd said in the they're like MDFCs?
Kind of.
But I guess the upside is they aren't probably as problematic in older formats.
Yeah, because they are actually a land.
Yeah, you don't get to like mill past them. Yeah, I think like you got to be okay with a tap land in your deck.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a case where you can run one, though, you know what I mean? Just if you're somewhere in between needing an extra land and like not needing an extra land, this kind of walks the line.
Yeah, if this is like land 26 or 27 in your deck, where like, well, I want to make sure I hit like my first 4 land drops, but when I draw my 8th land, I want to have an out. Also, like, much like MDFCZ's play nice with bounce lands.
Oh, definitely.
Right, like you play them early, then you can pick them up. And like, in theory, right, you could like do the like cast them for their adventure, play them, and then the next turn play a bounce land, pick it up, cast it again. Not that the green one toes the line of like, yes, I'd want to do that play pattern.
Yeah, what was the green one?
Make a 1/1 hero, and then
put
put
counters
a
on
+1/+1 counter on it for each lane you control. Like, okay, like that is fine, but like mill half your bonus deck, diminishing returns.
It gets worse every time you cast it.
And then the white one is return up to 2 target artifact and/or enchantment cards from your graveyard to your hand for 5 mana. Like a regrowth for enchantments that's like way overpriced, and you can only do that like probably once. So, I mean, it is a neat idea to kind of deal with the issue of flood.
Another way, mana sink way to spend your mana.
Mm-hmm.
On a land, so it's, they're usable. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these saw some play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what the black one, if the black one is like an expensive like raised dead.
Yeah.
Like that would be fine. Kind of like like Academ's Awakening or whatever. Like that'd be like perfectly serviceable. What else do we got?
Only got one more mechanic. And it's another one that we've already seen.
Huh. Land cycling. So for everyone's sanity, they went land cycling 2. Not land cycling 1, so these will not take over every format and get banned in Legacy. It's fine. So years ago, Ben Stark talked about how he thought like cycling should be in every set because it's so good for limited, yada yada yada. But I feel like if we like, this mechanic has just been in like every set for a while, and it like kind of makes things feel samey.
It definitely does.
Right? Like, hey, it's your 6 mana 4/4 that does a thing, but you also don't get stuck with it. So congratulations. Like, it just kind of feels like, okay, we've not done a whole lot here. Oh no, I've been okay.
Sorry,
I thought I was banished to the Shadow Realm. I got dropped from the podcast. Mid podcast. You're like now our new host.
It's gonna be this guy, Marlboro,
yeah. But like it just kind of feels samey, and like there's not as much to differentiate sets as there used to be. Maybe they play better, which is probably ultimately what matters. But also, like having each set have like a unique feel, I think also matters.
Yeah, I don't know that flavor keywords do that for me though.
Yeah, you don't think flavor keywords are doing it for you? So this is a little short, but I did want to mention what is going to be one of the more expensive cards in the set.
Yeah, what's that?
At uncommon, Sid, Timeless Artificer.
Oh yeah.
So, I
was going to say I'll bring it up on screen, but I'm not going to bring it up on screen for reasons I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment.
So, apparently, there is a character named Sid in every Final Fantasy, starting with Final Fantasy 2. So like I I knew about Sid, the pilot from Final Fantasy 7. Um, they have not done his backstory justice in the remakes yet. Holding out hope. And then I did not remember the weird looking guy from Final Fantasy 6 that they have in the art. But they have this card, so they have 15 different versions, one for each game. And that, as you can see on screen here, it's Sid Timeless Artificer 2 white blue for a human artificer 4/4. So it's a 4-mana 4/4. Artifact creatures and heroes you control get +1/+1 for each artificer you control and each artificer card in your graveyard. A deck may have any number of cards named Sid Timeless Artificer.
And there it is.
Cycling, blue, white blue. So you may have any number of cards have held their value quite well. Let's look up Nazgul. Nazgul is Are
they still $8?
I don't know if I could spell Nazgul, but that's alright. Hooked on Phonics did not make it to West Virginia. I say that joke now, and I don't know if students even know what
Hooked on Phonics is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that joke does not work, does it? But there were like 7 Nazguls in the Lord of the Rings set, and there you go. I totally butchered that. They're all $11 or more. For the base versions. And then the fancier versions are like $45.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so they're all pretty pricey. Yeah. And this happened recently with I don't know if it's a Warhammer card or a Fallout card. Some card got printed and it worked well with this like random like 25-cent like Universes Beyond rare. Then it spiked to some ridiculous amount. And not that I think that you're ever going to get like cards that work better with Sid than Sid. Right? But you they're not going to be able to print a bunch of Sid Timeless Artificers probably in other sets. Right, both because it like doesn't make sense in whatever world that is. Right? Like I guess technically if we went back to Kaladesh, return to Kaladesh or whatever, he would make sense maybe. But like, so there's kind of a pseudo reserve list on this card.
Well, also like that gets weird with the name, right? Because they can reprint like these Universes Beyond cards with different names, but what about one that references itself? Like, would that count Sid and whatever the new name is?
Yeah, that would be weird. Because, like, would it, like... Because, like, if they do a Universes within, like, do they have they should be able to, like, they'd have to put, like, hey, this is actually Sid Timeless Artificer. Yeah. But then would it be, like, Bob the Builder? You can have any number of Bob the Builder, Sid Timeless Artificer. You can have any number of Bob the Builders in your deck. And it's like, I don't like this. So, but this card is going to be pricey. There's 15 of them, so like, unlike the Nazguls, which all seem to be like $12, there might be one that kind of like goes above.
Well,
the other
I'd imagine that the ones from more popular, more beloved games are going to be more expensive than the ones from games that people didn't like as much.
I was gonna say, like, my first thought is the Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
one, just because it is a game that was up for Game of the
Mm-hmm.
Year. Sid played a outsized role in the game, so it's like a game people are like currently playing. And maybe like some of the MMO ones.
Yeah.
Because again, that is a game that people are currently playing, as opposed to, you know, the Final Fantasy like 2 one, where that isn't a game that people are like currently like locked in with.
Or even unless you're emulating, like even have the opportunity to play.
Yeah. So that is a thing that, so like the ones that are a little bit more like currently being played might be where you want to go if you were like, I gotta get me some Sids. But again, if you're like, hey, I love a Sid in a baseball cap, you're like, okay, cool, I'll get the Final Fantasy 15 Sid. Like that's my man. Or like you like big mustaches. Final Fantasy 9 is your guy. But yeah, so just like they've printed another one of these that is like gonna be kind of Nazgul-y. So yeah, so they didn't do a whole lot of new stuff in this set. But like, I don't know, that's kind of been recent Magic design.
Well, it's also like we got to remember when this set's coming out. Like going into summer, right? Don't they usually dumb Magic down around that time anyway?
They used to. I don't know if they still do. But what I was gonna say is like it's also the game's been around for 30 years. We are running out of design space at some point. Right? So it's like, hey, I guess we gotta like do more of these.
Reuse these mechanics, but we'll change them for flavor reasons.
Exactly. Because like it's kind of weird that like we have living weapon, and it's like, well, that makes it a 0/0 term. Cool. Now I have Formiridon. That makes it 2/2. But it's the same as living weapon. Now we have whatever job select. Makes it 1/1.
But it's the same thing.
So like it's all the same. Like you just give it a different name because of the token it makes.
Yeah, basically.
Like okay. The thing that I like, I wish these cards like could just be art pieces, if that makes any sense. Where like they're not a thing that like you're going to be seeing in your Magic games for the next like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like been my argument against Universes Beyond since they announced Universes Beyond, though.
Yeah, because like the main set Cloud is going to see play.
Yep.
It is too good not to. The main set Sephiroth is gonna see play. So like, it's like you're gonna have the whole like Cloud attacks into SpongeBob and Fortnite equipped with like the Fortnite bus or whatever it is. And then I'm gonna flash in Hatsune Miku. There we go. Dance party, and then we're gonna like. It's like, oh my gosh, like, could this have been? Could we have been like worse about this? And they're like, oh, we could have. Watch, give us 2 years.
Hold my beer while we try and run this into the ground.
Yeah. We're gonna get Universes Beyond is Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like Danny DeVito coming out of the couch. Kind of deal. But yeah. Like from what we've seen from like a power level gameplay perspective, seems good. Like it's gonna make an impact. It's just like, I don't know, do we want it to make an impact?
Exactly.
But I will say, whoever negotiated this contract, they were allowed to put these cards on Arena.
Unlike Marvel.
Unlike Marvel. So hey, someone did something right. All right. So with that, I think we got a show. If you have thoughts about the smashing up of your two childhood hobbies, Final Fantasy and Magic, let us know. Or if you have cards that you're like want us to talk about, and you're like, I don't care. I just want to play the cards. I'm agnostic about the art and the names. I just care about text boxes. Let us know. So let us know what cards you want us to talk about going forward. So Facebook, Discord, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, email, all those places. Say hey and say, I want you to talk about this card.
Yep. If you're looking to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. First is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over, do your shopping, support us at the same time. If you want to support us more directly, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is where you can do that. Chip in a couple bucks, you get access to my show notes, so you get a sneak peek about what the episode's going to be about for that week. And you also get about another hour of content out of us every week in the form of our unshow. Unscripted, unedited. Sometimes our technology works, sometimes it doesn't. We always just need to catch up, so we record it and put it out to the patrons. If any of that sounds good to you, or if you just want to support the show, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG.
Yep, and so with that, we'll catch you on
the internets.